The machine that we're going to be looking at today is from Lelit, and it is the PL41PLUST, better known as the Glenda. Lelit is kind of charming in that they name all of their machines with female names, the most popular one being the Bianca. I think the reason that people know about Lelit and really their claim to fame is offering a lot of value for the money. So these machines are designed and built in Italy, and they offer generally a lot more features than do other machines at a similar price point. However, oftentimes at the caveat of slightly worse build quality, slightly worse ergonomic design. And that's what we're going to take a look at today with the Glenda. So this machine itself was made in the end of 2020, but it still kind of offers features that I think are a bit antiquated for being a recently built machine. And that's what we're going to take a look at today. I'm just going to kind of go off the cuff and say what I think about this machine based on the ergonomics, the build quality, and what you get for your money. The reason that people kind of go for the Glenda is really twofold. One, you get a PID, which is nice, and so the PID sensor should be built right onto the boiler, which by the way is a 300 milliliter boiler, and this machine has got 1250 watts. So it's a pretty good size heating element and also a decent sized boiler as well in this price range. The second reason why I think people go for the Glenda is because of this. This is a 58 millimeter portafilter, and that is special because most Lelit machines use a 57 millimeter portafilter, which is pretty annoying because it's really not easy to find accessories for 57 millimeters. All right, so those are really the two positive aspects about this machine. But let's take a look at what might not be so great about the machine, and that really has to do with ergonomic factors. So honestly, it's really nice that this machine's got a PID. As far as 58 millimeter brew groups go, to me, I don't really mind using something else, a 54 or 51 millimeter brew group. I do just fine with those. And extremely expensive machines that you see at cafes like the Dalla Corte, they use a 54 millimeter portafilter. So in my opinion, you don't really need 58 millimeters, but I know for some people it's important. What I was curious about is the PID in this machine and how well the PID works. Currently set at 98 degrees Celsius, and there is an offset there, right? So what you're actually getting, however, at the brew group is going to be less than that, about 5 degrees less. And I actually did a temperature test of this machine. It does do a nice job, stays nice and flat at about 93, 94 degrees. So that's why I've got it set up here at 98. If you subtract 5 from that, then you're going to have a pretty constant 93 degrees. So that is nice to use. I have noticed, however, an issue with this machine, and that is, and I don't know if that's particular to this machine, but the shower screen does not seem to distribute the water evenly. So when I was testing this machine, it would often come off here to the right side, and when I would use a bottomless portafilter, I would notice that actually the extraction was not coming down properly. It was not coming down throughout the entire puck, but was always pulling off to one side. That is something I really didn't like so much about the machine. But then again, this is a used machine. I got it on loan from my buddy Daniel. Thank you very much, Daniel. So that's something to be looked into. Now, as far as the rest of the machine goes, let's talk about ergonomics. There's two things I absolutely hate about how they designed this machine. One is this top flap here just comes right off. That's kind of weird. And then you have to access this water tank like that. And if you have to, I mean, there's two hoses in there as well. So if you've got to fill that up, and if it's underneath a counter, man, it's a pain in the butt. You got to pull the machine all the way forward, away from the counter, pull it up with one hand, fill it with the other. Ideally, you should use a funnel. So I really don't get this design here with this water tank. There is also a whole lot of space in there. So like the water tank seems underdimensioned. And if you miss with the water, you're gonna get it somewhere in here and the machine could start potentially rusting. And there's also a cable down there. So I really do not like how they designed the water tank on this machine. That is my pet peeve number one. The second thing that's unfortunate about this machine, although it's got a nice big deep water drip tray, you can fit a lot of volume in there, that's nice. The issue is that you don't have enough space here. So if I want to, for example, pour myself a shot, I have to actually slip a wide mouth cup underneath. I mean, the bottom of the portafilter spouts actually go within the cup. And if you want to try to get a scale in there, forget about it. You can't do it. It doesn't fit. So that is, for me, a big no-no. I do have a second thing to mention in regards to using this machine that I don't like as much. Since it is a 300 milliliter boiler, it takes a long time to get up to steam speed, up to steam temperature. So you flip the switch like that and you wait about 45-50 seconds before it gets up to about 110, 115 degrees up here, especially if you steam after you make an espresso. Because by the time you're finished with the espresso, you know, the water temperature inside has dropped from 98 to about 91 degrees, and then it's got to go back up to 100, 110, 115, and that takes quite a bit of time. In addition, this valve here doesn't close really great. When the boiler is full of steam, it takes a good 5 or 10 seconds for this valve to really completely close, and that kind of sometimes can ruin your microphone that you've just made. The delay in going from coffee mode to steam mode and then having to cool the boiler back down, that also takes time, takes water. And so this machine can be a bit of a water hog as well, having to cool down the boiler after steaming. It's just something to keep in mind. All right, at this point in the video, I would like to give a big shout out to ExpressVPN and thank them for sponsoring this video. If you don't know what a VPN is, it is a connection directly from your device to the ExpressVPN server. And this has multiple benefits. First of all, the data is encrypted. So the data transferred from your device to the ExpressVPN server is encrypted so that it cannot be used by other potentially malicious parties or by parties who might want to do something with your data. In addition, you can choose your own IP address, which is great. Some big box stores will only allow people from certain geographic regions to access their website. Same thing with Netflix. I travel sometimes for work, and so using ExpressVPN offers me two really good benefits. One, to be able to connect to the internet safely through the ExpressVPN server. And two, if I happen to be in the middle of a Netflix series, let's say in Germany, and if I travel to the USA for work, I might not have access to all the content I was watching in Germany. But if while I'm in the USA, I just connect to the ExpressVPN server and choose a German IP address, then I can see the show that I was watching. And this works for all kinds of countries around the world. It's really cool. So go check it out, ExpressVPN. If you click the link down in the description below, you can try ExpressVPN for 3 months for free. Again, thank you, ExpressVPN, for sponsoring this video. As far as the aesthetics of the machine are concerned, I think it looks okay. There's nothing special about it. I think the stainless steel, looks kind of nice when it's polished up. When it's not polished, if you got like fingerprints on it, it's really kind of a fingerprint magnet. And as far as wife acceptance factor goes, that's a big no-no. And the usage of this machine, the ergonomics here of these switches, is not as intuitive as other machines that I've used, where you just hit a button for the pump and a button to go to steam. Here you've got one switch for the pump. You've got this other switch here. So this actually has two functions. It switches in between low and high temperature, and it also switches the valve here. So you're either going to be pulling water down here to the brew group or here through the steam wand. And so you have to use a combination of these switches. Not the most intuitive thing for a beginning user. But then again, if you consider cost, and if you consider 58mm brew group, and PID is probably the cheapest machine that you can find on the market that includes all of those features. All right, with all that being said, let's go ahead and do a demo. By the way, guys, if this video has been any help to you up until this point, please give it a like to push it up to more people, and check out my other videos. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. So we're going to use today the DF83 as our grinder. It's a big sucker. And we're going to do, let's do a 16-gram dose. I made a mess. So, this is an example of what's nice about having a 58mm brew group, because this is a 58mm portafilter. We can just go ahead, and that fits perfectly on there. Dump that here into our portafilter. Do a little bit of WD-10 right away. We'll give this a nice tamp and see how the espresso turns out. Oh, excellent. That's what we're working with right there. Of course, the brew group is heated, so it does get quite hot. You gotta be careful. The top gets hot as well. There's a pretty nice cup warmer up here. Let's pull ourselves our shot. And unfortunately, I can't weigh it, so I don't know when my 2-to-1 ratio is going to be done. I'm just going to have to go based on my gut feeling. That looks too hot to me. The shot blonded right away, so it kind of does look a little hot to me. It's nice crema on there for sure. Looks quite delightful. The flavor is fine. It tastes a little burnt, to be honest. I think it might have been running a little bit hot there. And yeah, we're at 101 degrees right now. So after it does decrease in temperature, it does kind of overshoot a little bit. Its mark, it's supposed to hit 98 degrees, but how a PID works is, it aims for a certain target, but oftentimes it will overshoot it if the gain is too high. So you may be able to play with the parameters a little bit in here. I'm not sure if that is possible or not on this model, but there are a lot of parameters available for PID controllers and different types of controllers, really. However, if you change the parameters so that you go up slowly to reach your target temperature, and so that you don't have to oscillate as much, once you do hit that temperature, it's going to be slower doing that. So there's always a bit of give and take when it comes to controllers. Let's go into steam mode and make ourselves a cappuccino. Go ahead and pour our espresso into our cappuccino cup right away. Set that up there, let that be nice and warm. Where are we at? 112, that should be enough. Now what I will say is this machine has a lot of steam power, a lot. quite hot. Ooh. And you can hear it, it's still going. So you have to really wait a long time before removing it. That's not something I like all that much either. I prefer just to turn the valve off and have the steam be gone. Let's see if we can get any kind of latte art or not. I mean a heart. We got a heart. Not bad. And like I said, I am still kind of getting used to this machine and its steam power. It's got a lot of power, so have to consider that. Nearly forgot, I gotta cool down the boiler. Okay, cooling it down to 110 is fine because of the hysteresis. When you turn it off at 110, it will end up going down to about 98, 97. All right, I've got the Lelit Glenda here. That's the PL41PLUST model. It's the one that's got this PID in there, and I've got the PID currently set for 98. That's why you'll see it is here flashing to get from 97 up to 98. And what we want to do is just check the temperature. You can see this is my temperature probe here. It's a bit low because it's not 16 degrees in this room. It's probably closer to 20, 21 degrees. But let's just get an idea of at least how stable it is. So I'm just going to put this temperature probe on top of the puck like that and put it in the machine. There we go. As you can see here, the brew group sits at 76, 77 degrees. It's already pretty well preheated. And let's check the extraction. I'm guessing that's about 30 grams, and you can see we're very stable at about 89, 90 degrees here on the temperature probe. And if you add probably about 4 degrees to that, then we're probably sitting around 93 degrees. I would say that's just about right. Nice. All right, guys, I hope this video was helpful for you. And if so, please give it a like, push up to more people, and check out my other videos. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And until next time, I say happy coffee drinking and happy cappuccino drinking.